Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final round of WOR Season 19 Tier 4. We are here in Brazil at Interlagos Circuit. The 2.6 mile circuit is one of the most notorious on the calendar and contains 15 corners, 2 DRS zones, and is sure to be filled with exciting action. I am Jamie Jackson, and I am joined by none other than your regular commentator, Niall Giat. How you doing, my friend?
I'm fine. We're already here. It's the final round. It felt like it was round one just a week ago. I remember just commentating round one, and then now we're on the finale. This is it. This is where the championship is decided. This beautiful Brazilian circuit will crown our champion for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of championships, if we look at the championship table now, Nico leads the way by 13 points, the four-time race winner this season, over the Ferrari of Trisk, who's won 3 races this season. The 2 have been the class of the field in terms of the championship. With 1 race to go, it looks even more likely that the Red Bull of Nico will take that top spot. However, Trisk will give them their biggest challenge, the big challenge so far, with 18-minute qualifying session yet to go, and we are getting into this one. It is full wet weather, like you may have seen briefly, but we are now getting underway as Ward leaves the session once more.
Yeah, Ward is really struggling to connect here. This is not an ideal situation, but yeah, it's wet. It's tricky out there. I'm sure a few of them may have practiced the wet. I'm assuming a vast majority of them will not have practiced this condition, especially in the full wets. Like, it's not very often. Of course, we saw it in real life, but it's not very often you see the full wets out on this game, and we've just got it now. So this is new territory for a few of them. There's one guy on the Inters, Maxime Valle, we'll say that, on the Inters, and everyone else is on the full wet. So he's going to be exploring that track for a while. I think Kinskman is also debating on whether he goes on to intermediates. But yeah, just early laps now. This is more discovering the circuit, more than, trying to set a very good lap time. Of course, you need to set a banker still. But yeah, it is new territory for most of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we go across, we've got a driver who's already set a lap time, 19.2 by Ziwadi. I'm not gonna pronounce that name right, but I'm gonna do that every single time wrong. But the RB goes fast, sets the first time on the board, as a couple other drivers are now starting their flying laps. Maxime Valle in the Alpine is coming around to start his, with the Williams of Ollie coming up to the line, goes even quicker than what the RB done, goes 18.6, as the Red Bull of Nico goes even faster for 17.5, and the championship leader sets a decent time off the line, which is a good second and a half quicker than what the opening time was. So already track getting maybe a little bit more rubber on the circuit, but these full wet conditions are all about bravery and whether you'll be able to just get that extra grip and find that extra grip over your rivals.
Yeah, I'll just correct you. It is pronounced Zwiad, I believe. And you speak of bravery. In the middle sector, I was just on board. We had a massive slide through that middle sector. It's really treacherous down there. There's not much grip there. And then he's had to back out of his lap and go again. But I'm expecting maybe that some people will do 2 consecutive laps. I'm not entirely sure, but I think a few people will do that to just find you've got the confidence of the previous lap, and now you know where to brake. The grip will be similar. It's not gonna like you're gonna experience a massive grip change. As Maxime Valle with his intermediates goes fastest with 117.1. Early doors still 12 minutes 50 seconds to go. So anything, well, it probably will topple over. But yeah, this is just, yeah, I think some people will do, or most people will do 2 laps in a row. Someone's just gone. I think that's Trisko who's just crossed the line and gone at third fastest. Nico dives into the pits behind him. CPI Ruben is going to cross the line now. He's going to jump up to good position here, or P4. He improved by 7.5 tenths, but it's only P4 for the minute. But we've got 9 drivers in, so at the end of the day, it's not really a big problem where you qualify. I mean, it is very possible to make it back up the order. Morgay crosses the line and goes 3 tenths behind Maxim. Next to cross the line, I believe that may have been Pavlos in 7th, stays 7 Kingsman, starts his lap.
Yeah, like you say, like I think that at the moment the intermediates did look that little bit quicker. They looked a bit more controllable. So Maxine might have done the right move in just going into straight away. The wets did not seem quite the fastest, but up to the line, 17.5 for Wead in the RB, and he is a good couple tenths off the Alpine current provisional pole sitter. But like you say, starting at the back isn't the worst thing in such a small field in this final race. Easier for, say, for example, if you're the likes of Pavlos, who, if you don't get the lap time in, just need to keep it clean throughout the race, and it might come to you later on. Kingsman is currently the only driver without a lap. They're going through sector 2. That you might have got caught on that white line. No, it is probably one of the more slippery white lines on the circuit, so it's a bit more difficult to find the traction there. But can the McLaren get up the order, or will he be down the bottom of the field with the two Williams? We're going to go up the straight now, down around this long flat left-hander. You're just basically turning throughout this whole flat out towards the line, but up to the line is 18.2, which is a 1.1 seconds off of what the Alpine does. It might be time for drivers to think maybe the wets are not the right call.
Yeah, I'm just observing now. Lots of people are now selecting the intermediates to go out onto the track. We've already seen, well, Nico's already on the track with Inters. He's going to be heading, well, it was Maxime first, obviously, from the start of the session. And now Nico has followed him in and has put on these set of Inters. I Trisco and Ollie Hornby have also selected the intermediate tyres, as Nico will be starting his first flying lap on the Inters then. There's the run down to turn number 1, setting medium ERS. You can see there's like the racing line is starting to dry a bit. So now the track's now becoming faster and faster every lap. So let's see now. Nico on his way. Championship leader by 13 points. He needs a P4. Well, if he gets P4, he's automatically champion. Into the end of Sector 1 has 5 tenths improvement already. And this will be huge of a lap. I get a little snap out of whatever that corner's called. Sino de Lago probably. Into that little tricky middle sector no one really likes. It's really, really slippery down there. You mentioned the curbs and the white lines there. The slippery surface there. That's Williams. Let's get that away. I believe that is Ollie Hornby. But yeah, just 5 tenths in the first sector. That means this will probably be around 1.5 seconds faster than Maxime. Let's see. Anyway, into the end of the middle sector. He is, yeah, more than that. Almost. Well, by the end of the lap, it'll be well even more than that. But 1.8 seconds up on his own time. This will be a massive lap to smash the entire field. If you can keep it in the white line. Some people don't keep it in the white lines at the final corner, surprisingly. Cross line, yeah, 1.8 seconds ahead of anyone else. The track is really ramping up here.
Yeah, absolutely. That time is really the statement, and if Maxime's time on the first Inters wasn't a statement, that Red Bull has absolutely laid down the hammer. As you've got 8.5 minutes to go in the session, these drivers will need to get hammered down. Like you say, it's very surprising that how many people actually do invalidate that final corner, but they're trying to gain every thousandth of a second and get so close to that white line and just cut it as much as they possibly can. And some people just overstep the boundary. It's like that at any corner, but we're going to see Maxime, who's 1.2 seconds quicker than what his previous best is. He's come around the final part of the lap now, heading through turn 15. What time can the Alpine do? The only driver who done his first run on the intermediates does a 15.5, 2 tenths off of what the Red Bull of Nico's done. We've got a couple more drivers who are about to come across the line and start flying laps, with Trisk, our second place driver in the championship, currently 1.8 seconds up on their previous best. Can he get close enough to his championship rival, or will Nico manage to keep that top spot for a couple moments longer? Down the straight, we've got Ollie, who goes up to P3, 15.8 for the Williams. What does the Ferrari do? He goes P3 and takes it away from Ollie. 15.5, 600ths behind the Alpine. But these conditions are really the test of the skill for these drivers, because in dry everyone can drive in the dry, but the wet you need to manage the traction on this game, which is not what you're really as used to, considering the like what you're used to driving on these games, and they're like this game in particular, because you don't have, because you're so used to there being that traction there throughout the most part of the lap. That now in these intermediate conditions, it's more tenfold than what it was on previous games in terms of traction loss.
Yeah, you really need to thread the needle here and stick to the dry line in the inters. It's really a skill to stay and still be fast. However, I speak of the dry line forming. I think the track is really drying up here very, very quickly. As we had cross line set the fastest time at 1:15.122, but I'm looking on the yeah, and Morgan goes fastest actually, but I'm looking around and it's really drying. It could be almost really bone dry at the end, as Nico now sets a 14.64 tenths ahead of his teammate as Trisky entered the pit lane to probably set his final set of inters on. Really, I mean, you're quite limited with inters. Oh well, not really, but yeah, I think it's about 3 or 4 inters. But typically, you'd stay on the track for a longer stint than you'd be on the dry tires. So we could see the final sets of inters being fitted now. What we are going to see is Kinskman crossing a line and goes up into P4. Still 6 tenths off Nico. Still 5.5 minutes to go. But times are really, really improving. You need to set your lap times here. If you Pavlos, he was still, well, he's on the lap now. He's just heading through turn, well, onto the back straight. You're still 3 seconds. You need to now improve. It's almost going to be too late if you don't improve it. And he's 3 tenths up, but it's only 3 tenths up on the 3 second off lap. And that's not what he'd probably be hoping for. But now, yeah, he needs to finish this lap.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, really that's an average of a second a sector. Yeah, the sectors are varying in length, so he might gain some more time in this sector. But I did see that the McLaren of Kingsman set at 8 tenth quicker sector 1 than their previous run. So therefore, that might mean that the Williams is not exactly comfortable in these inter conditions. 1.6 up. He needs to find 1.5 seconds in this sector alone, which is basically just flat out. He's not going to find that. The Williams is desperately struggling right now, as a couple of drivers are diving into the pits like you say, maybe to get a final run of inters. Maybe they don't have enough fuel, as the Palos gets a 15.5 on the board, puts himself close to his teammate and the second place driver in the championship of Trisk and the Alpine. So there's 4 drivers within half a tenth of each other, but they're the bottom half of the grid. That's not the half of the grid you want to be if you're any of those 4 drivers. And everyone is still improving, as we had 15.0, puts himself P2, but 4 tenths off of that Red Bull. Nico looks to have these intermediate conditions absolutely sorted. I say that his teammate of Morg 14.3, and that tops the time of Nico that was set about 3 or 4 minutes ago though.
Yeah, I was just watching Pavlos. That's a set of softs being set from Kinskman, but yeah, Pavlos, he was ready to go again and had picked up track limits at turn 1, so now he's just probably going to dive into the pits unless he wants to another run on this tyre, which is entirely possible. But yeah, I think Kinskman was playing maybe a little bluff there, because I don't think we're going to be seeing slick tyres. And yeah, Pavlos is going again. Then, with 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go, track still, well, getting better and better each lap. Into turn number 1 in none. That's very interesting. I mean, I wouldn't do that myself unless he's just not doing his lap. That seems like he's not doing his lap. All right.
Trisk is on the lap. Trisk is on the lap in that Ferrari, so he's going around the final couple of corners. 1.1 seconds up on what they previously done. That put him right in the driver's seat and right in the head of their championship rival as they go round the final corner. Where does the Ferrari go? Because he needs to get a couple more attempts to get into past Morg up to the line. 14.2 puts himself fastest with 2.5 minutes to go, and that Ferrari has all of a sudden come alive, and half the field is still in the pits. They need to get out on track here if they want to get a final run in, because half these drivers are just sat in the pit lane or they're coming too late.
However, it is about timing in the end. Sylvester, though, that Red Bull's not making it. That's 100%. But yeah, half of it is just timing here in the wet with track evolution. I don't think that's going to be Morgo coming back out the pit lane. He's just being wheeled back in right now. So I think he's done. Probably no. As I say, that Zwiad and Ruben are going to come out the pit lane. So yeah, really, it's just about timing. Has Triske timed it right? Maybe, but maybe he went a bit too early there to get the optimum track conditions at the very end. It is, well, I mean, it is almost bone dry anyway, so it's going to be very similar, but every little tenth counts here. Well, I say every little tenth, we're still 8 tenths ahead of Zwiad in fourth, but only 1.5 pretty much ahead of Morgay. As I keep seeing AMS WOR, he's really trying to get in, but he's not able to. So maybe he'll have to start from the back if he does get into the race. But final laps are starting now. 1 minute and 5 seconds left on the clock. Kinskman then into turn number 1 on his final lap. There's probably a few others on their final laps. Ollie Hornby goes second fastest, 12 thousandths behind Triske. But has he got enough battery and fuel to do another lap? Maybe he does. Pavlos then, he's only 10th up. I'm assuming he's going to go again on this lap because he's got a lot of ERS left, so perhaps he will. Maxim's going to have to restart. But Kinskman then, heading down now into the middle sector. This tricky section is pretty much bone dry from what I'm seeing. So there'll be a lot of grip. And he invalidates his lap. That is over for Kinskman. He's going to be starting near the back then. Well, in 7th or 8th or 9th, which not really mattered. But yeah, final laps now starting. That's Maxime who's going to be the last one to start his lap. But behind Kinskman is Ollie Hornby. That's Morgay. He's still in his outlap. He's spun around. But Ollie Hornby will be the next car to cross the line onto their final lap. Checkered flag falls. Morgay is done in 3rd place.
Yeah, I mean that's unfortunately Moray went for that final run, went for an extra run before coming into the pits, and that has cost him. He will not be able to be one of the final runners. This may cost him even more here, as up to the line Holly Hornby was not improving. Meanwhile, Trisk will come up to line, improve quite significantly on what they'd previously done. 13.5, have they managed to just snatch pole? Never mind, Nico goes fastest. 13.2, 3 tenths clear of what their rival had done. We've got a couple drivers yet to cross the line. Powers, P3, 14 dead. We've got Wead coming up to the line next. What time will the RB do? We're going to go down the straight, up towards the line, and just behind him is Ruben as well. It'll be fun. That's fastest for the RB. 13.1. What does Ruben do? 13.2 goes P2. Excellent job. Maxime, though, it's the last driver to set a time. He's going to be right there as well. Up to the line. I didn't see P4. It was. Excellent job. And that has basically boosted Nico and the Ferrari and his Ferrari rival down the order by a couple positions. Nico down to P3. Trisk down to P5, but those last times when the track was just dry enough, when the tyres weren't overheating, were crucial, and that gave we had the pole position ahead of Ruben by just under a tenth of a second.
Yeah, I noticed those who had the lap will finish their lap later with obviously the better track has set better lap times. So yeah, Zwiad is going to be starting on pole ahead of Ruben, which may be an outlier for some, but as he timed his runs right, that's what he gets. But unfortunately, like Morgay, he was 3rd into the final runs, and then he's now 8th because he didn't get to cross the line in time, and that's what it cost him. Like, it cost him a load of positions. He was going to start near the front if he didn't drive like that, but he's now starting at the rear. But interestingly, we didn't see any gamblers on the slicks. That would have been a bit fun to watch. Maybe if you're someone who was at the back and not confident in the rain, you could have had a little gamble. But at the end of the day, it is better to play it safe on the inters, especially if it's just a drying track and a track is still green and greasy. But interestingly, we went from a completely full wet track to bone dry at the end in just under 20 minutes. So I mean, track evolution was massive there. It's really interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean,
there's now we get a little restart.
Yeah, we're gonna have a quick little restart. But yeah, track even. I mean, it was. Thing is that if you're in that situation where it's full wet at the start of the session, you get to the end of the session and it's just drying up. If it's not sunny in any way, shape, or form, the softs will be useless because the track's so cold. There's no grip on those dry compound of tires, so you may as well just stick it on the inters because at least they could get heat into them. But so that's what we saw with that. The drivers at the moment because it got dry about a minute, 2.5 minutes before the end of the session. It stopped raining, so the driver just decided to stick it out on inters because there's a couple drivers that did wait a little bit longer off that moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was so crucial to get it right. But anyway, there we are.
Well, we're gonna take a little break. Unfortunately, I didn't actually add an intermission screen to this scene selection, so you'll just have to look at the standings for a few moments, and we'll be back very shortly. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and as you can see, it's a full wet race. But we also have a slight change to the grid. Noel, would you like to introduce the change?
Yeah, it appears Nick DeVries has been in a simulator and decided to do WRT4 as Morgay's account. He's decided, well, as now Wards is connected, he's decided we're going to go from Red Bull to McLaren between qualifying and the race. So now we got Wards connected. He's going to be last on the grid in 10th place. Ooh, that's last. Not really. But yeah. So now we've got an extra. Well, we've got an extra McLaren in a different driver in the Red Bull. So this could be tasty with the double stacks, which could change around a few things. Perhaps Morgay should have gone a car that was, well, as alone, like an Aston Martin. There's no drivers in Aston Martin tonight, so maybe to reduce that risk of the double stack, maybe we should have gone that. But we'll see. But as you mentioned, full wet race. They've just got used to that wet in the qualifying, and now they've got to do it all over again. So that experience they picked up in the qualifying is going to become very handy to this race. Maybe, well, it's going to be a really unusual feeling in the first few laps. Obviously, it was bone dry at the end of qualifying, so now it's going to be full wet. It's going to feel a lot different. Some of them are going to slide off the track at turn one, I have a feeling. There could be a few spins here and there in the first few laps. A few track limits as well, for good measure. Could get a safety car thrown in there. That could be stuff interesting. But, yep, I think we're going to be going any moment now, probably.
Hopefully,
I actually don't know.
Hopefully, it's the key word there.
Hopefully, because
we're running out of things to say. But like you say, it's going to be an interesting race because everyone's now got a bit used to those wet weather conditions. However, they got a fuel tank. They got a full tank, well, half tank of fuel really. Where before they were running very light, so therefore they've got a bit of a heavier car, so that will also come to the adjustment. And now they're going to be racing against one another. They've got to be mindful because they cannot afford to make mistakes, especially in these opening laps when these drivers are side by side. Wards is the only driver who hasn't had any sort of practice. The only practice he's had is joining and leaving the session for about 18 minutes. So we'll see if the now Red Bull driver, who has quickly swooped away Morgs' seat in between qualifying and the race, whether he can quickly adjust and stay up to pace with the rest of the field. However, this is still a very mixed up field because these drivers, like you saw some drivers, we had much better pace in the first part of the session where it was a bit wetter compared to the latter half of the session, and some drivers just struggled, such as Pavlos, and well, both the Williams really struggled in that opening half of the session. And same with Ruben as well to some extent. So it is going to be interesting to see whether the rain intensity has any sort of effect.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get probably less ambitious dives. Some corners. If you're Triska, you're in 5th place. You need to you need to catch Nico. You're 13 points behind Nico now. He needs to do some brave moves. Move on. Get past Nico himself, who's starting third on the grid and has a very good chance of claiming a title tonight. Well, if he doesn't tonight, then it's going to be Triske. There's not another round after this. So if he finishes P4, he's automatically the champion, no matter where Triske finishes. Even if it's just P1 and Nico's still P4. He's like, we're getting underway. I'll let you have this.
Alright, so we're going to get underway now. 5 red lights for the final round of Tier 4 WOR. And it's lights out. And away we go. Zwiad gets a decent start, but Ruben alongside him is still there to some extent. He's going to have the inside line into turn 1. Around the outside goes the RBM, makes it stick. Has no context into turn 2. Meanwhile, Maxime is giving the Red Bull of Nico, our championship leader, quite a bit of context through turn 3. As Alpine, who looked tremendous in the opening stages of qualifying, is coming back through now, passing Nico. Nico goes off the track. This could be where this could really have a major effect because at the moment Trisk though is down in 7th. He's lost positions to Paulos and Ollie as the Williams drivers are really have really got in the way of this championship battle as we go through sector 2 now. Weird leads the way, but Ruben's struggling. He's really struggling in his sector as Maxime up the inside for the P2. Unfortunately, a traction loss there has cost him the position at the moment, but the Ferrari is really struggling.
Yeah, not very good starts for our two championship protagonists. Nico losing a place, Triske losing 2 places off the line. That has not gone well at all. I've been on board with him in the middle sector. He is sending it into Ollie at every possible opportunity. Into turn 1, now down the inside. Is he going to have a go? Breaks a bit later and into turn 1 appears to have the move done. Ollie's still there, a little bit of contact made, but Triske is back through and up to P6. Only lost 1 position then, but here we go. I think Nico might be setting up a move, maybe on Maxime. No, it appears to be staying behind. As Maxime goes into the back of Ruben, potentially opens up a move for Nico, and he does. And Nico makes advantage of that and takes P3, and then that's another car between him and Triske now.
Yeah, that's a real crucial thing there, to have that driver that is between Nico, between him and Triske, who is at the moment even more so on the back foot, couple positions down and many points down at this stage. So this is really helping Nico as every lap goes by. This and every overtake Nico makes, the stronger his championship lead becomes and his championship victory likelihood becomes. Through the final call now, he's all over the back of Triske's teammate, of Ruben. Can the Ferrari do the defensive masterclass, or will he continue to struggle around the outside? Nico decides to take the move up on, but he's not able to do anything there. He switches to the inside. He tries to make a move. Can Ruben defend the move? He's going to go side by side through turn 1 and turn 2. This returns to the inside for turn 3. Ruben loses traction there, and Nico takes the P2 spot once more, and now he's got 1 driver left in front of him of Weird, and he's a championship rival down in 6th. That is the most crucial thing for Nico at this point.
These conditions just seem perfect for Nico. He's got so much confidence, as well as Weird, don't forget, in the lead of a race, still by a second, but Nico just seems so confident behind Ruben, and into turn 1 you can see the brave moves he was doing, but now this just frustrates Triske. He's in P6. Is he going to have to send it more? Is he just going to be still patient because there's still 33 laps to go in a wet race? Or he's going to have to change his approach maybe, because now Nico is up to P2, but doesn't know Nico's in P2. That's something else to find out. However, the gaps are starting to form here. Not really between 4th, 5th, 6th, one behind, but yeah, I mean, we now got a few gaps in between 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, with Pavlos in P number 4. Triske up the inside of Maxime. Can he do the same move that Nico did? No, he cannot. And he's going to lose a position now, potentially, to Morgue, who's on his outside. He's got maybe a little bit of bottom of battery. He's got a little slipstream as well as Morgue. And Triske is going to have to give this one up. And now that's another car in between both championship protagonists. This is not going well at all for Triske. And for Nico, he's all over back of Zwiad. This could be crucial moments for the championship deciding moments. Well, whoever crowns.
Yeah, it's absolutely crucial because Triske is losing positions. He's not gaining. He needs to get by and hope Nico has some sort of issue, because at the moment, even if he gets past Nico still wins the title if he finishes P3. Even if he drops behind Triske and doesn't pass Weird. But it looks more and more inevitable that the Red Bull, who's closing and closing and closing, he switches to the inside. This isn't a switch around of the junior team and senior team. This is proper. This is these two trying to race. Nico fastest lap of the race and takes the race lead as our championship leader puts one hand firmly on the trophy, and he's got a firm grip of it right now out of that race lead, because Wead does not look likely he's going to try and take that position back into turn 4. We're going to go down there now. Nico keeps the position and everything remains line astern down through into sector 2. Can Weird cause a nuisance? That's the question. Triscay is now going to make a move on Morg. There's a bit of a contact there as the McLaren is forced off the road, and now the Ferrari is up into P6, but that may cause some sort of investigation, because there was that contact and it did seem like the Ferrari was potentially forcing the McLaren off the road. However, the Triscay continues on in that position and how has Maxime in front of him.
I don't know about you, but it's like we're watching Max Verstappen out here in P1 with Nico. It's like he's taken over his account. He's really just pulling away, and he's probably going to continue to pull away. No DRS in wet conditions. Obviously, it's unknown whether it's going to be wet conditions at the end of a race. For now, maybe the drivers know, but we certainly don't know in the commentary box. But yeah, Nico, he's just so confident. Zwiad is now probably going to be happy to sit behind him and recharge his battery, but this is just Nico's conditions. This is like exactly real life. We've got Red Bull domination out front, and just like real life, Red Bull in 10th as well, but that's not the point. But yeah, Triscay, he's getting his elbows now. He needs to make these passes. He knows. Oh, that's a good move for P8. Ollie Hornby and Kinskman fighting, as we've got Kinskman sliding off the track. That is not ideal. I didn't get a very good camera angle there, but it seemed like maybe Ollie Hornby pushed Kinskman off the track. However, I could just be assuming things, and I may not actually be right. However, now AOMS was up into 9th, and Ollie, well, he stays P8, I think. Or was he P8? I don't know. But yeah, Triscay, he's getting his elbows out now, and yeah, I think Zwiad is sticking nicely to Nico. Ruben is dropping off slightly. Pavlos is on the back now of Ruben, challenging for 3rd place, and Maxime is leading that little train behind.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it looks like that Ferrari of Triscay has started to get more and more used to conditions. However, it is not going to be enough, because Nico continues to get faster and faster. He sets the fast after race and is nearly a second clear of the RB of Wead. Ruben is losing ground to the two in front. Pavlos is showing speed down towards turn 4 now. No DRS in the wet conditions. It is all about pace and whether you have it over the driver in front or behind. But Pavlos is inching closer and closer, but he isn't able to do anything at this stage. He needs some sort of mistake from the Ferrari in front, or otherwise he's going to have to make something bold or something work, because otherwise it's going to cause him to lose even more ground to Wead in front, and as well as Nico. But those two continue to pull away. Maxime is under pressure from the other Ferrari of Triscay. 4 attempts from him. Morg gets a massive snap of oversteer there, and as so does Ruben, as they're all getting oversteer at this point, and they're all struggling in these conditions to lay the power down up towards the end of lap 7 now. Where does Ruben go for a move? Someone's going for a move. It's Triscay. Triscay makes a move for P5. He's got past Maxime, and maybe Morg's about to make a move on the Alpine up the inside. That's a move. Maybe he slots himself in between. He does slot himself in between Maxime and Triscay, and that was done to perfection by the McLaren.
It seemed like Maxime just opened the door for Triscay on the straight. I was watching that. That seemed a bit strange, and Morgan takes advantage and slots through. Actually uses Triscay as a brake there with his front wing slightly, but yeah, I mean, he's still made the move, so fair play to him. But now Triscay has one less car between him and Nico, but 5 seconds in between. And then you also mentioned now that the mediums, the inters are starting to have massive slides now. Obviously, we have really low grip on the inters, but now with the tyres, they're 8 lap old, we have massive tyre wear. They're really starting to taper. While the lap times are not fading, their grip certainly is. However, the track obviously is ramping up. which may, as you may have noticed, AMS Ward I think took the fastest last lap. He's got Kinskman all over him, so maybe he's actually taken it. If I just check, where's fastest lap? No, it is. Well, it was Ward. Now it's Nico. Who's taken fastest lap with a 1:17.2. And he's got 1.2 seconds in between him and Zwiad, and Ruben and Pavlos continue to fall behind, and Triske and Morgay, they're just not really gaining to those ahead. Is Morgay going to go for a move, I wonder? I don't think so. Seems a bit risky to go at a moment in time. But yeah, the race, they're now getting a bit more comfortable as well with the grip, with their own rhythm and their own pace. So the gaps really are starting to form here.
Yeah, the gaps are starting to form. It is very difficult out there around this this circuit, this Brazilian circuit, as Triske is trying to pull away from Morg and catch Pavlos, but there isn't really much. He's not really gaining at this point, and the McLaren seems much faster at the moment. As the Ferrari, both Ferraris are now having to defend. There is a driver off. That is Wards, who's gone off. He's spun round, still in the race. I don't know if he's got any damage. I'm getting given an awful camera angle in all this, so I can't even tell. But that Red Bull is now 4.5 seconds behind the rest of the field. Meanwhile, here comes Morg. He's going to try and make a move on Triske for P5. Can the McLaren do so? He does it before the breaking point. Triske has nothing to do, and there's nothing he can do in defence. Can the Ferrari get back by? But the McLaren looks ever more quick as we go down towards turn 4. The Ferrari got the slipstream, but it's not going to be enough at the moment as they go through the second sector of lap 10.
Yeah, it just seems like Triske just doesn't have any confidence and grip. He's just gaining and losing places everywhere. I mean, Morgay's got so much more confidence and grip in these conditions than him, it seems. But yeah, I mean, he's continuing to lose time to Nico. It's lap 10. He's 6.6 behind of a race leader, Nico. He's obviously pulling away. He's a class of a field at the minute. He just made those moves really early, and he's maximizing his pace. As I can see, Triske and Morgay, they're just absolutely sliding everywhere in that middle and last sector, especially Triske, which might mean something that maybe he's using a bit more of his tires. Nico sets the fastest lap at 1:17.1, but maybe Triske just used too much tire, and now he's got nothing. Or he's maybe just not that good in the wet. I don't actually know, but don't think Tier 4 have wet races often either. So it's a bit of an unknown as a whole, the wet weather, let alone in Brazil. So maybe just not used to it, especially as Tier 4 drivers, But yeah, the gaps, there's really starting to form, and it's just 2x2 almost. We've got one, Nico and Zwiad are isolated. Then we've got Pavlos, who's been following Ruben for quite a while. I don't think we'll be seeing any trading there whatsoever. We've got Morgay and Triske and Maxime who've been having the time of their life, battling. Ollie's just chilling by himself. He's not too far off the train. And we've got Kinskman and Woods. Obviously, no made a mistake. He doesn't have any damage, as you tried to spot there with, I'd got the same camera angle as you did probably, but yeah, now I think it is getting drier now. The rain might be slightly decreasing. It is still falling down fairly heavily. Triske might be making a move on Morgay, that's not into pits. That's interesting, but Triske now up to P5. He'll just say thank you very much, but now he's still 7 seconds off Nico, and that's a problem. Well, 1/3 into the race there. If he wants to win that title tonight, he's going to have to get a move on here.
Yeah, he is really, really not showing the pace of what Nico is. Nico must be psychologically damaging in some form. If you see your championship rival who already has a championship lead over you, and they're in the lead and they're putting lap after lap faster and faster times, and you cannot just get top them once. And Triske down in P5, not really much he can do, because that's a massive amount of oversteer there. That's going to allow Morg to come well back closer towards him. However, the McLaren is basically pushing the Ferrari around the end of Sector 2. That Ferrari does not look easy to drive. That McLaren looks actually lovely to drive in these conditions, at least better than what that the Scuderia does in front of him. He's going to have the tow. What does the McLaren do? Does it go left? Does it go right? He goes to the left and takes the inside line. Can the Ferrari do any sort of defence? No, he cannot. And Trisco just sits behind and has to drop back down to P6. And again, this is all psychologically impactful against the second place driver in the championship, who knows Nico's having an easy time of things. Out there in P1, 2 seconds clear of Wead, and you're down here fighting for P5 with Morg, and you just cannot get away, and you cannot do anything about it. But meanwhile, a driver who's looking to try and get by another Ferrari is Powos, trying to get by Ruben, who had an almighty load of oversteer in coming through that long right hand. Very lucky and very skilled to save that one, but there's been nothing the Williams can do, because in all the right moments that Ferrari has done has been good on sort of traction, despite having many an oversteer, and that Williams just hasn't been able to match him when he needs to most. And at the moment, he just has to sit behind just that little bit longer. And is this going to be the time? This is the closest he's been for a while. Here comes the Williams. He's going to go to the inside as a look. Morg, fastest lap of the race. And meanwhile, the Williams up the inside. Can Powers get by Ruben? Ruben's having the inside for turn 2, but it switches back to the Williams for turn 3 as he gets ahead for the final podium spot. Ruben tried to cut back, but there was nothing he could do. He's going to be right in the slipstream, right behind the gearbox of the Williams. He's almost pushed him around that corner. However, the Williams of Powers, after about 12-13 laps of seeing the rear wing of the Ferrari, he can finally see him in his rearview mirrors. Excellent job by the Williams.
Yeah, that now it sets him free kind of jail, if anything, because now he's set free and he can just go like at his own pace. He doesn't have to be hurrying Ruben along. He can now just drive, well, not on his own. Yeah, he's still got Ruben behind him, obviously, but now he can just be more confident. He can see more, obviously, instead of just a rear wing. But meanwhile, Morgay and Trisque, they are sneaking back up. They are slightly faster than your race leader, Nico. We are definitely approaching the pit window here. I've noticed something. It's no longer raining. So they're going to be trying to that's a little collision to turn 1 by Ruben, but they're now going to be probably extending this stint until it's bone dry to set on the slick tyres. I'd assume the mediums will be going on for most of them. I wouldn't think the softs, and I think the hards would have too low tyre wear and just wouldn't be that efficient. But yeah, now this could be this could be the chance for Trisque to launch an undercut. Obviously, you have to double stack with Ruben if you have to go the same lap. So potentially now can launch an undercut and hop over. That's also something very interesting. Nico has taken our first track limit penalty of the race. 15 laps in, a 3-second time penalty. This could change a lot of things within the complexity of the championship fight. While his pace is decreasing as well, picking up a penalty, that's crucial. But, it's all about surviving on his inters until it's dry and good enough for the dry tyres. I'm sure most of your tyres are dead, but you've got to hang on.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a late race safety car and no one else has a penalty like it is right now, Nico is in a hell of a load of trouble, because if Trisque can start to find pace as it gets drier and drier, the Ferrari could find himself in a very good position right now. He's currently in P6, but that Nico's penalty may have an effect on the Red Bull because he knows he's got to be careful now, and he cannot afford to pick up another warning because you cannot get any closer to another 3-second time penalty. Will that affect the pace of the Red Bull? We'll have to find out. As now we've got a 4-way fight for P3 as Wards picks up a 3-second time penalty. Won't be affecting his position at the moment, but at the as things stand, Palos leads this train currently in P3, 2.4 seconds behind Wead, who's a further 9/10 behind Nico. But if these guys can close in on that Red Bull as it gets drier and drier, it could be the opportunity for these drivers. As I thought I saw someone go into the pits there, but apparently not. As we go into turn 1, it all remains line astern. As we go into the pits comes Maxime Valley, the first one to pull the trigger. He's going to put on the first set of dry tyres. We're going to continue to watch on with this battle though. As we go into turn 4, Ruben just has to sit behind that a little bit longer, and Morg is edging closer and closer. If you're that Ferrari, you will see that McLaren in your rear view mirror ever prominent as we go into sector 2. And you've got to be thinking, when do you pit for dries? Because you don't want to come out the pits and there be no grip due to the cold conditions and no rubber. But you don't want to overheat these tyres and end up in the wall. When do you pit? That's the question. Do you have the answer, Niall?
I think Triske should pit this or next lap onto maybe the hards might work, but the mediums might work as well. I'm watching Maxime's lap times. They're not really that fast compared to AMS Wards, who's been struggling. DRS is now enabled as a few dive in the pits. So that's a very interesting interpretation of the pit entry lines, Mr. Morgay. I saw that. You can't get away with it. But lap 18 now starts almost halfway now. Pretty much halfway, we'll say halfway. As that's another thing I've just noticed. That's Softsman Morgay. Wow. All right, that is fine if you want to do that. But I've just noticed another thing. Nico is low on fuel compared to what his estimation to the end of the race. So he's gonna have to start lifting, coasting until the end. This is not good news. That's probably why his pace has really dropped. I mean, Triske and company have been really catching him, but now it could pose a big problem with Nico with his 3 seconds, and maybe it's more over now. But he's still got 13-point championship lead, right? He still could win with ease if he just does the right things. But I think now it's time to pit. I think everyone who's not pitted will be pitted this up. Let's see. Nico pits. Zwiad into the pits. Pavlos into the pits. Triske into the pits. Kinsman probably into the pits. Yep. And AMS while he's blocking some people now. So this is good news if you're Triske. Look at him. I mean, Wards is helping Triske more than he is Nico at this point. So Triske is going to get a nice clean undercut, potentially on a few of them like who were stuck behind that intermediate runner. Into turn number 1 now. Morgay and Ruben Morgay on that soft, grippy compound. Maxime sets the fastest lap at 112.7. Let's see where Morgay is. Oli Hornby picks up a 3-second time penalty at turn 1. Morgay's now P3. So we had a moment in the pits, probably, because now he's 2 seconds behind Nico. Triske doesn't really gain any time, though. So that staying out 1 extra lap hasn't really actually helped him with Pavlos as well. But they're on the mediums. Ruben's on the hards. He's going to have less pace at this moment in time. Morgan's on the softs. He's going to have to pit very, very soon. That's never ending well. Oli Hornby picks up his 2nd penalty in the same lap. That's very interesting. How do you even track it 3 times? Whatever. But we have got an interesting mix of tyres. We've got 4 on the hards, 5, I think, on the medium, and 1 on the soft. So we've got all the tyres fitted at this moment in time. I'm sure a few of them, well, Morgay especially, is going to have to come in again. As into turn 1, now DRS is enabled. Morgay sets a fast lap 110.1 as Triske gets past Pavlos and up to P number 5, and his march back through the field commences right now. 16 laps to go of Tier 4 in Season 19, and is still unfolding. But Zwiad has no pace on these hards. He's really fading away here. Like, Zwiad is fading at this moment in time on his hards. He's not sticking to Nico whatsoever, just because it's one tyre combat difference. That's a send from Ruben. That could have ended in a disaster. But Morgan, obviously on the soft, he's now right on the back of him. But Triske has come to join the party. He's 1/10 off, claiming that crucial DRS. Is he going to get it? He's very close to getting it. I'm telling you now, like, I think it's 9/10. He could be in the zone to get... He is in the zone, definitely now. He's going to pick up DRS and continue his way towards Nico. But now he's 6 seconds off, and Nico is flying out there on his mediums in first. That's 3 wide. It's number 1. Morgay... Wow, Ruben sweeps down the outside. We had to just hit Morgay, I think. I think he's not sustained any damage, but... Yeah, now we might see a little bit of trading. We've got a train of 5 drivers from P2 down to P6, Ruben down to Pavlos now. The hards at the front and the mediums at the back, with Morgay on the softs as kind of an anomalous result. Well, not anomalous result, as anomaly on the softs. So, yeah, that's a send. Who's that? That's Triske on Zwiad. Zwiad's got no confidence and no grip on these hards. What's going on? It's very, very strange. He's going to have a lot of grip at the end, though. I'll say that on his hards, as the mediums will really start tapering. But Zwiad just got from 2nd to 6th in 1 lap. This is not ideal situation. And now Triske is up to 4th. Doesn't have any fuel problems like Nico has, and doesn't have a track limit penalty potentially yet like Nico has.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we had absolutely no pace on these tries, had immense pace on the intermediates, but has been passed quite easily. Nico's fuel issues might become more difficult now because it is harder for fuel save in the dry compared to the wet, so it will have to see whether that has any contrast. However, these drivers are all fighting for position as Moore gets pushed out wide by Triask, and he's now up into the podium places. Goes the Ferrari, while Morgan Powers go side by side. Around the outside goes the Williams, but unfortunately Morg has made the defence clear. That soft compound tyres still working some sort of magic. However, it's not just been once now, it's been twice. Morg and Trisk have gone side by side into turn 4 and turn 5, and Morg has ended up out wide. So this could end up being a couple of penalties for Triask if he has forced the McLaren out wide. However, the Ferrari needs to get on with this now. He's got his teammate in front of him. He's going to have the DRS. It's going to be much easier to overtake than it was on the intermediates. They're going to go side by side. The Ferrari gets past. Powers up around the outside. Can he make the route stick? The McLaren tries to swoop in on the inside. There's a bit of contact there. There's more contact as we go through turn 2 and 3. And now they're both going to have DRS. And here comes Wead, who's going to make not just one overtake, but potentially 2. As we go down the inside goes Morg. Morg sends it and absolutely just about defends the position. And the McLaren is in just about staying with this field. However, those tyres might start giving way very, very soon. However, it is still very, very close as Ruben is getting caught by the Williams of Powers. If you're Ruben right now, your primary task is to defend for Triask, because your teammate is still in the championship fight. However, how much of that racing mindset will take over for Ruben? He's not going to be close enough to his teammate, though. At this point, he's going to have the DRS, but the Williams of Powers is much closer as we go into turn 1. Can the Williams make the move stick? He breaks late, but the Ferrari breaks later as Ruben manages to defend the position. They both locked up quite severely there. They've got to be careful not to do that too often. However, these two are still going to go side by side around the outside. Go Powers. He takes P3 away away from Ruben once more, and he's up into the podium places. There's a yellow flag. Ollie's had some sort of incident, but we continue on as normal though. As we go through Sector 2, Weird and Kingsman are now fighting. Not Kingsman, Weird and Morgs are now fighting. Morg has actually got up into P5, and this 5-way fight just keeps getting more intense.
He's out there for the last podium positions, and the podium's just positions just after it. But yeah, now this sets Triske free, kind of. He's got Pavlos behind him. Potentially, if they work efficiently enough, they can catch Nico, who's still suffering from these fuel problems and is doing an immense amount in lift and coasting. I'm just on board with him every once in a while, and he is lift and coasting quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit, but he's doing it whenever he can to not lose time in the process. He's lifting coasting definitely through here in Cedar and Largo, but Triske just now needs to close in. Nico's got. It's definitely a track limit for Triske there. Let me just check, because that was way too close. And that was, in fact, a track limit warning for Triske. So Triske, as we speak about Nico having a track limit penalty, he's picked up his second warning of this race, which could come back to haunt him. He's got 11 laps to go after this one. Catch Nico. He needs to only catch by 3.2 seconds. I'm sure he would love to catch more than that and have Nico fall right down the order in order for Triske to become champion. But yeah, I mean, it is now Pavlos is on the back of Triske. Triske kind of just lets him through, opens a door, says hi to Pavlos, and lets him go. So now Pavlos into turn number 1 into second place, and they're just going to keep trading the DRS in order to gain as much time as possible to Nico with 11 laps to go here. But Morgay's going to have to pit sometime soon. Obviously, he's got his elbows out, definitely, but now he's going to have to give it up at one point. There's no way. If he makes it off to the end, I will make sure Cockhouse gets a haircut, because that is crazy stuff from Morgay. But yeah, it's yeah. The closing stages now.
At least you give him a video. At least you give him a video. What I did.
Oh dear, you have to get him to watch that, because that is okay.
Yeah,
but now we are getting to the closing third of the race, the closing 10 laps of the Tier 4 season. And now is all eyes on whether Triske can catch Nico. Oh, that's a bit of trading, though. As we add into 5th place and gets the move done. The hard now probably much better than the soft compounds. But Triske's just not catching Nico, despite Nico doing all this lift and coast. So that really shows Nico's pace and ability. That's we are going off track. Well, Morgan says thank you very much. I'll go through. Or does he? Yes, he does. Round the outside on those softs. Well, I hope he makes it to the end. Yeah. So, I mean, Triske is really working on his ERS management here, with Pavlos on full battery and everyone pretty much behind him on a full battery, and Nico on the full battery as well. But he's just not catching. He's going to have to push a lot more than this if he wants to catch.
Yeah, I think at the moment it's really... It doesn't help that having that car of Palos behind, who will start just to itch and just think, I need to get by here. He doesn't care about your championship. Pavlos gets by for P2, and now he sets his sights on Nico, who... and the Williams just looks that bit faster. Then the Ferrari of Triask, who needs to make get back by, he's going to try and make. Is he going to try and make a move? No, he closes that DRS. He's like, I need to stay behind here and use the Williams to get by. It's a race for a few laps time potentially. They need to work together, these two, if they want to get close enough to Nico. If Nico drops behind all this train, then this could be the chance for Triask in the title fight with 8 laps left to go in this fight, and basically just about 10 minutes. These drivers will this will be the deciding moment of the championship. Everything is in Nico's grasp right now. Nico already has a hand on the trophy, and has had it on the trophy since basically the start of the session. And at the moment, Triask's chances are slipping, but is he going to make a move here? He's going to make a move into turn 1. Paulos is going to go. Can't really do much about that, as a Ferrari gets by before the braking point. However, as a massive load of oversteer, here comes Mr. Williams as he goes by through turn 3. He will have DRS as well. This might let Ruben get closer to his teammate. There's nothing the Ferrari driver behind can do about the Ferrari ahead. However, he might just be doing a bit more of a defensive job for his teammate than trying to do any sort of offensive moves as we go through sector 2 for the 29th time, as we're now 4.2 seconds away from Nico, and this gap is closing now with the Williams of Paulos taking the lead of this train, and Triask is actually losing a fair bit of time to the Williams in front. He's going to get it back with DRS, but he does not have that pace that the Williams had. And is it going to be enough? Is this going to be the chance? As Paulos gets the 3 second, this is actually the opposite of what Triask technically wants, because he needs as many drivers to get in front of Nico in terms of penalties. However, it does mean that the Williams driver will drop behind him at the end of the race. It's now he's got to hope that the Williams gets ahead of Nico.
Yeah, now they're starting to catch. Now, closing in on Nico. I've just been watching Nico. He's doing a lot of lift and coasting. It is seriously impressive how much lift and coasting he's doing with this much pace. Oh, that was almost dropping into the wall for Nico. He's definitely lost a few tenths there. As I can see, yeah, 2 tenths maybe from that big mistake. And every little mistake counts. And every little pace helps for... bit of pace helps for Pavlos and Triske. Now closes in. They should be trading now this level. But as you say, Pavlos now with that 3 second. This is not really what Triske wants. Well, obviously he's now guaranteed. Oh, that's a sense from Ruben. But now it guarantees him pretty much ahead of Pavlos. It's meaning that now Nico is also ahead of Pavlos on the track, which is not going to help his chances whatsoever. And if a maths, if as it stands, well, obviously as it stands, Nico's champion. But suppose the train of 5 cars and Triske wins. Yeah, Triske would win by 2 points if they all catch, despite Pavlos having that 3 second time. And we've all got to be within the 3 second of Nico. And it's much easier said than done with a driver like Nico, who's just so good. I mean, while he's lifting coasting, he's having so much pace still, which Ruben and Triske somewhat lack. While they are catching with DRS and trading, they're also making a few mistakes here, which is really not helping their chances.
Yeah, it really isn't, as Triske is going to look to get by. Ruben pulls to the inside and basically waves his teammate by, cuts to the behind. Paulos is going to try and make a move up the inside. I wouldn't really fight this if I was Ruben, knowing that Williams has that 3 second and the driver in behind has very good pace in the end of things. You don't want to fight this too hard between the guys in front, because you need to make sure you can get within that 3 second of Nico. So can Paulos get by? He does get by, as now Ruben drops down to P4 once more. However, they haven't dropped out of DRS of Trisco as we go through, or Trios, as we go through sector 2. 3.3 seconds is the gap between Nico and the Ferrari driver, who is gaining and gaining, but with the laps winding down, is this whole group gonna get basically snaked into that 3 seconds? Because this is literally a snake of cars as we go through sector 3 now, up the hill towards the line to end lap 32 and to start the 33rd tour. Nico 3.3 seconds, 3.4 seconds ahead. And Ferrari not quite making the inroads he needs to. This whole train needs to make more inroads. As we go through sector 1 now, can these guys get any way remotely closer, or will they just miss out? And Nico is looking still ever stronger.
Yeah, I mean, well, Nico's still doing lift and coast. I think he's doing a bit less lift and coast now. So he's starting to bring up the pace ever so slightly. But Trisca, yeah, I think it's a bit late now. Maybe Trisca's won the race, but I don't think he's won the championship with this gap. I mean, they all need to catch by 2 seconds at least, with Morgay on the softs that are really, really worn. And I'm starting to feel bad for Kotkaz's hair now, because this could end up being the end of the race for Morgay on these softs. Well, he could have reached the end of the race with checkered flag on these softs. So, or has he just got a puncture or something? Because he's dropping pace a bit now, obviously. But now, it's getting a bit tasty down to turn 1. This is certainly not what Trisca wants. A bit of fighting in turn 1 as Pavlos is pushed off the road and Trisca slips back through. Zwiad hits him ever so slightly, but this is losing them so much time. I mean, Ruben and Trisca, they might not even win the race at this point. Truvanica might still take the flag and win the race and win the championship as a consequence. Ruben lets Trisca back through, but they just lost time in that last lap. This is not ideal stuff with 2.5 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not. They've now lost a couple tenths. So Nico, who with just 2.5 laps to go, is really keeping a very consistent pace despite having to save. Has he saved enough fuel? That is the question. He is in the minuses just, I do believe. It is very minimal on what he needs to do. So Nico is in a very good position right now. He just needs to save maybe a little bit more just to get himself to the line for in just over 2 laps time. Here comes Ruben. He's going to fly by his teammate, and these two are going to try and work together that little bit more as we go down towards turn 1. Will the Williams make any sort of dive? No, they won't, as these drivers just sit behind that little bit more. Will Ruben let by the Ferrari teammate once more like he did on the previous lap? We are on lap 35. We are 2 laps away from the end of the season. Trias going to try and make a move as the Ferrari teammate sits right back in behind. 3.1 seconds is now the gap, but they all need to get closer as the Red Bull is now, even though he's almost on the edge of losing out to his championship rival in terms of race position, there's not going to be enough drivers that are in that final 3 second gap.
Yeah, this is so close now. 2.9 seconds between Trisca and Nico, as Nico now sprints up the hill. I can just see it on his dash that the amount of fuel he has left, he's going to run out right before the line at this rate. So this might be okay for Nico on fuel. As we now start the final lap of the season in Brazil, is Ruben going to make a move into turn 1? No, he stays behind Trisca. I wonder if he's going to stay behind on the second straight and more rather defend from Pavlos, or is he going to go for the race win himself and take away the win of his possible win of his teammate? Yes, he is. And Ruben now takes the lead on the race pretty much now, because Nico has 3 seconds. This is 2.9. This is very fine margins here, as Ruben could take his first win. I believe it's his first one anyway. But Nico then with a superb job of just making up back that fuel that he didn't have. Like, so much lifting coasting, so much incredible work with lifting coasting to regenerate that much fuel. Well, not regenerate, but not will save that much fuel. And now he's going to head out the last, well, real corner, let's say, as Morgue picks up a puncture, I believe. No, he didn't. That's Kinsman off the road. Never mind. But anyway, out of the final corner, Nico runs out of fuel. Triske gets back past Ruben. Does he win? Yes, he does. Triske wins the race. However, Nico takes the championship here in Brazil by 6 points over Triske. And I wonder what could have happened in Canada if Triske showed up. Or even last time out, if that 1 second gap wasn't created at the start of the race, which meant that Triske had lost DRS to the pack and ultimately finished in a not very decent position while Nico went out last time. But now Triske has done all he could and he's won the race after a fairly difficult situation in the early stages. So he's done a very good comeback, to be fair to him. While Nico was having troubles with his fuel, I mean, it's come down to such close margin as well. Look, 35 thousandths of a second between Nico and Triske, but ultimately it is Nico with the title.
Yeah, excellent job from Nico in this basically the final half of the season. He has gone 3 wins and a second in the final 4 races, and it was just enough to take the title away from the Ferrari of Triske, who did everything they possibly could in that final half of the races after a difficult opening stint on the intermediates. The Ferrari, they tried to pull everyone closer. They almost did. The championship was really, if you look at it, 1.6 seconds away for basically for Triske if they managed to pull that gap closer to Nico. But Nico, excellent job, just drove immensely well and took that second place and has taken the championship for Tier 4 for Season 19. And that is Season 19 over. It's just done. That's 10 rounds of the season done. How are we feeling, Niall?
Well, now Cutcass, his hair is gone because Morgue has done he's done a stint. He's done a stint on the soft. He's made it to the end. Oh, well done. That's shout out to him. I mean, that is impressive stuff on the softs. I would have never even put on soft in the first place to even try make it to the end. But yeah, I mean, it felt like we were just in China yesterday, and now look where we are. We've just done the season. Champion's been crowned, and you never know. Will we have another season? It is still uncertain on F1 24 whether we have another season, but for now, it's done. I mean, this could be the last race of Tier 4 on F1 24. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. However, there will most likely be console tier. There'll definitely be console tier 1 at the very least. That and tier 2 are tomorrow for the final time and our final races of the season for Season 19. So thank you all for watching, whether you've been watching Niall in tier 4 the whole season, whether you've been watching myself throughout the season, be here, there and everywhere, because I've basically covered every single tier now. So thank you all for watching. Tune in tomorrow for tier 1, tier 2 as well. Do not miss tier 2 because that is very exciting stuff as well. And we will see you next season if you're watching, if we're here. If not, we'll see you in for F1 2020.